Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into First Solar today. They're a really interesting American solar tech company.
Yeah, they are. What's pretty unique is, they're a top 10 global player, but headquartered here in the U.S. and, crucially, without manufacturing bases in China.
Exactly. And for you listening, if you want to get up to speed quickly, this deep dive should help you understand, well, First Solar's significance and maybe the bigger forces shaping solar right now.
Right. So our mission, if you will, is to pull out the key insights on First Solar, where they stand in the market, how their finances look, who they're up against.
And we can't ignore this huge multi-billion-dollar expansion that's happening, largely thanks to the U.S. Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA.
Absolutely. Plus, their core technology itself is a differentiator, this cadmium telluride or CDT thin film stuff.
Right. It's not the usual crystalline silicon, the seaside panels we see everywhere. And they're really aiming at the big utility scale market, yeah.
That's their main focus, utility scale power plants.
Okay, so give us the basics. Who is First Solar?
Well, they started back in 1999. Based out of Tempe, Arizona, and they're publicly traded FSLR on the NASDAQ.
Got it. Key people.
You got Mark Widmar, CEO, and Michael J. Hernan as chairman. But it's not just about the panels themselves.
Oh,
They offer kind of end-to-end solutions for these big utility projects. So financing, construction, O&M, even recycling at the end.
So the whole package.
Pretty much. And they're a big employer, too, around 8,100 people as of early this year, or maybe late last year. This vertical integration, controlling the whole process, is pretty key for them.
Right. Efficiency, quality control. Let's dig into that CDT thin film tech. What's the story there?
Okay, so it's their own proprietary tech. They market it as being high performance, but also, importantly, lower carbon compared to the standard silicon panels.
Lower carbon footprint. How?
It's generally less energy intensive to manufacture. They also talk about advantages in like quality, durability, reliability, even the panel design.
And what are their actual products?
Their main lines are the Series 6 modules. Those go to about 475 watts. And then the newer Series 7, which hit 545 watts last year.
And they're still pushing the tech forward.
Definitely. R&D is big for them. Over $100 million invested cumulatively. There's this thing called the CURE program.
Right.
Copper replacement, basically.
Okay.
Aimed at boosting performance even more. Trials were late last year. Production should be starting, well, maybe later this year.
And looking even further ahead.
They're exploring perovskite technology, too.
Okay.
Got a development line in Ohio, and they actually bought a European company, Evolar, working on that. So, yeah, innovation is a constant push.
Makes sense. You need to stay ahead. So innovation's covered. Where are they actually making these things?
Right. Manufacturing, they've got a global footprint. Malaysia, Vietnam, India. They used to be in Germany, but restructured that.
But the big news is the U.S. expansion, driven by the IRA you mentioned.
Exactly. That's the headline, really. They already had 3 factories in Ohio. Now they just opened a massive new plant in Alabama.
How massive?
$1.1 billion investment, 3.5 gigawatts of capacity. Started up September 2024, adding like 700, 800 jobs.
Wow.
And there's another one coming. Same size, same investment, $1.1 billion. 3.5 gigawatt plan for Louisiana. Supposed to be online in 2026.
So that's over $4 billion just in U.S. investment.
Yeah, huge commitment. Their production hit a record 12.1 gigawatts globally in 2023, ending the year with 16.6 GW capacity.
And the targets.
They're shooting for around 14 gigawatts of U.S. capacity by 2026, and globally, maybe 25, 26 gigawatts total.
And they're building out the supply chain here, too.
Trying to. They've got deals for glass with Vitro and steel parts with Omco Solar and ICE Industries. Yeah. That Section 45X tax credit in the IRA is, well, it's vital. It makes this U.S. build-out make economic sense.
Okay, so the IRA is clearly a massive catalyst. What's the overall U.S. solar market looking like right now? Why is this investment happening?
Well, the U.S. market has been booming. 2024 saw record growth, something like 50 gigawatts added, a 21% jump.
And solar was a big part of new capacity.
Huge. Like 66% of all new U.S. electricity capacity added last year was solar. And the utilities scale part, First Solar's turf, was the main driver. That segment grew 33%, over 41 gigawatts.
What's fueling that, besides the IRA?
It's a mix. Solar's just getting cheaper, more competitive. Plus, you have rising demand from data centers, electrification. Companies and utilities have clean energy goals. Energy security is a factor, too.
Any clouds on the horizon?
Well, the forecast for 2025 is a bit flatter. Some uncertainty about the IRA's long-term future, maybe, and then the practical stuff, grid bottlenecks, interconnection queues, getting transmission built, those are real headaches.
Right. But overall, U.S. manufacturing is taking off.
Oh yeah, explosive growth. Module manufacturing capacity jumped 190% in 2024 alone, hitting over 42 GW, probably over 50 GW now, early 2025.
Okay, huge growth, some near-term hurdles. How's First Solar doing financially through all this?
Financially, they look pretty strong, actually. Revenue grew well in 23 and 24. Net income really surged after they posted a loss in 2022.
And they have orders lined up.
Oh yeah, a massive contracted backlog. As of Q1 this year, it was 66.3 gigawatts. That gives them really good visibility on future revenue.
Balance sheet.
Strong. Low debt. Though their net cash position has come down a bit because of all the spending on new factories, the CapEx.
Makes sense, investing heavily. And those tax credits.
Crucial. Monetizing them is key.
Yeah.
They sold $857 million worth just back in February. That's real money.
But I heard something about guidance changing.
Yes. They did recently lower their 2025 guidance, blamed tariff uncertainties. So they trimmed expectations for sales, earnings per share, volume. It shows how sensitive they are to trade policy shifts.
Right. Always a factor. So who are they really competing against in this space?
It's intense competition, mostly from the big global players using the standard crystalline silicon tech. Think Canadian Solar, Jinko Solar, Trina, Hanwha Qcells, those guys.
And First Solar is smaller globally.
Yeah, definitely smaller overall scale than those giants. The real battleground now is shifting towards U.S. manufacturing.
Because everyone's building here now.
Exactly. While First Solar had a head start, those competitors, Canadian Solar in Texas, Hanwha Qcells with huge plants in Georgia, they're building significant U.S. capacity too. That could erode First Solar's home field advantage.
Interesting dynamic. How do they stack up financially against those guys?
Well, right now, First Solar seems to be more profitable than some of the big seaside players who are facing really intense price pressure globally.
So what are First Solar's key advantages then?
Okay, you've got their unique CDT tech, their current U.S. manufacturing lead, that vertical integration we talked about, their strong financial position, that big backlog, and their sharp focus on the utility market.
And the challenges.
Scale is one. They're smaller globally. There's always tech risk. What if Seaside gets much better or cheaper? They're dependent on the market and policy wins like those tariffs. And just the sheer challenge of executing this massive expansion plan perfectly. Plus, that growing domestic competition.
A lot to juggle. Okay, let's try to boil it down. What's the essential takeaway here on First Solar?
I'd say the key thing is First Solar is this uniquely positioned American solar company. They're riding these strong policy tailwinds, especially the IRA, but they're definitely facing more competition now, and those policy risks are real. Their success really hangs on pulling off this huge U.S. expansion and keeping their technology edge sharp.
Makes sense. All right, a final thought then for you, the listener. We see this explosion in U.S. solar manufacturing, right? And this constant push and pull between different technologies and changing government policies. What do you think long-term will really decide who wins and who loses in this increasingly crowded field? Something to chew on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.